Hello, everyone, and thanks for giving us a listen. If you'd like to show our support, please check out our Patreon and Linktree under Interactive Distractions for access to additional Day 1 content, as well as to be part of our awesome community. Thanks again, and we hope you continue to be distracted.
Won't stop till we get it. Got a rocket strapped onto my feet. I'm a bad boy, yeah, don't forget it. No rest, no sleep, because we're bringing it on.
Hello and welcome to Interactive Distractions, episode number 436. My name is Christopher Riccio, and I'm here with Jason A. Stryker
Hey, how's it going?
and Travis Baum.
Hi.
And today we're going to be doing some distractions and news and idle chit chat, and that should wrap it up for this week. But before we do any of that, let's see what's going on. Travis, what's up, buddy?
Oh, hey, how you doing?
Hey,
Yeah,
what's up?
nothing. Things are rough right now. Just trying to keep our heads up, man.
Yeah.
No, I'm at the point. I'm at the point now fully where like the unemployment is just like completely gotten to me. It's affecting my mood. It's
Yep.
affecting my every single day, man. And it's
Yep,
it's
it
just
sucks.
getting rough. So just really trying to push through that. I mentioned last week, like doing some extra projects around the house. Acts of service is my love languagey type
Ooh.
thing. So like I just doing stuff makes me feel one, it passes the time, and then
Do you call maintenance for that too, or do you?
I don't call maintenance for
Okay,
that, no,
all
because
right.
it's like general like deep cleaning and
Just
stuff
light
like
bulbs,
that. Like
Jason. Just light
Gotcha.
bulbs.
just light bulbs. Now it's only hard to reach light bulbs. So we are. That's a deep cut. You got to go back a couple episodes, folks.
That's
to,
right.
Yeah.
There is a short
So
for it, though.
there is. So other than that, I was like, you know what? Let me just focus on the house. Let's focus on this. No outside acts of God are going to mess around and mess up what I'm already trying to keep together. And then out of the blue, yesterday, it looks like Los Angeles is going to get its first hurricane in 80
Ooh.
years.
Oh, exciting!
God damn, really?
Yeah, it's right now it's Hurricane Hillary, and as of right now, it is
That's in Mexico right now, right?
yeah, right now it's projected to hit us around
Oh,
Sunday
shit.
afternoon, Sunday evening, but it'll be a tropical storm by then. So
Okay, good.
I expect some rain where we're at. We're not necessarily inland. We're close to Malibu, but it's still about a 15-minute drive down to the water. So I'm not worried about any storm surge. I'm not worried much
Yeah.
about. Well, we'll get some rain, and when it rains heavy in Los Angeles, we don't have the infrastructure for a lot of drainage. So I think
Exactly, yeah.
downtown LA is going to be hammered with flooding for sure. Unless this thing takes a turn, which it doesn't look like it is. But where we're at, it seems like we're going to be pretty cool. Like I'm more or less worried about places that are like where Melissa and I got married on Catalina Island, which is in Los Angeles County. It's just an island off the coast of Southern California. Um, and it's a beautiful little tropical hideaway right outside of downtown LA. And so there's places like that I'm concerned about more or less. But other than that, it's we're just going to get a little bit of well-deserved rain, and that'll be it. So keeping the head up, keeping the chin held high, and putting on my galoshes this weekend. That's pretty much all that's going on. Jason,
Yo, hey,
hi,
what's shaking? What is shaking? What's shaking?
you nasty boy.
You nasty boy. That's
We were singing Janet Jackson before we recorded,
just a little, as we normally
yeah.
do. Yeah.
That's right. And that's a tradition before the show.
Yeah.
We've been doing it for since 2007.
It's Janet, Miss Jackson, if you nasty.
You should hear me and Jason's karaoke duet of "Scream,"
Oh my god,
which is fantastic. We do the dance and everything. It's
Yep.
awesome. Yeah, it's lovely.
So we're trying to ease into new schedules and stuff. Lisa's got a part-time job that she's working on right now at a museum.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Here in
Cool.
Marietta, which is really cool. She's got her own office and everything. A neat little gig. And then I'm taking care of Griffin during the day and stuff after he gets home from school and stuff, and we're doing homework, and it's been fun. It's been neat. I don't know, changing that stuff up a little bit. So
Yeah.
any news is good news on that front. I'm still looking for a job, but I ordered new buttons though. And
Yeah.
I should
Oh,
not be doing
good.
it.
That's good.
Here we go with the buttons.
Here we go with the buttons.
Hey,
Do you have them to show off?
Yes,
Jason,
I
is that
do,
what you're?
actually.
Oh, okay. Let's see what you got.
These are buttons for my Victrix. I finally decided to get some buttons for my Victrix, which is like a super high end arcade stick. And I can't get the wrapping. Here we go. These things are beautiful, though. Oh my god!
Ooh.
Wow, coming like a
Oh.
display case and everything.
I
Jesus.
know.
Audio
That's
only.
amazing.
Audio
Audio
only
listeners.
listeners, you guys need to step up and go on the YouTube page.
Get on YouTube
Yep.
because you just
and
missed.
look at
You
these
missed
buttons.
2 visual things from the show.
So good. So good.
These are Quanba buttons. Quanba Gravity. KS.
Quanba.
Yes, Quanba. They're Chinese buttons. But they come in these really cool tins, and they're silent.
Yeah,
and
that's fancy shit right there, dude.
Yeah, they're awesome. I've got them in like 3 of my sticks right now, so I'm working
Nice.
on
Nice.
a
Okay.
4th one. But yeah, that's my life is buttons and fucking.
I'm glad. Hey, look, whatever we
I got a
we
joystick
unemployed
right here,
guys,
too.
whatever we unemployed guys have to do to stay
Seriously.
afloat, to stay treading water, you do it.
Yep, it's
You
keeping
do
me
it.
sane. That's
There we go.
about it. So, that's it for me. How about Chris?
Ooh.
It's been a week, man. I honestly, this week has been pretty stressful overall, and I don't even remember if we talked about this last week,
Fun.
Travis. Did I mention what was going on with Ahsoka last week with my cat?
With Ahsoka, you did. Yeah. you
Okay.
did.
So, I don't know, Jason, if you listened or not, but my cat had a pretty violent seizure
Ooh.
on Saturday. So took her to the emergency vet on Saturday, and they weren't much help. They were like, "Yeah, we could do blood work. It'll be $600, and it's still not going to cover everything."
Yeah.
So I was like, "I can get blood work done for less than that at my vet, and they're going to cover everything, and I'm going to have to go there anyway. So just don't bother." So took her to the vet on Monday. They did the blood work. They gave us a prescription for seizure medicine that we picked up from a pharmacy. Like, went to Target and picked up a pet's drug
Sure.
at the pharmacy.
Mm.
And got a call back from the vet today, and they didn't find anything in her blood work. And that is not what I was hoping to hear, because there's obviously something wrong, and I want to know what it is. And at this point, we don't know. So we were hoping that it was going to be, she's got epilepsy, or they said it might be viral, or, it might be, it might have to do with, blood sugar or something like that, but they didn't give us any indication of any of that. So she's taking the medication now, and our next option is to take her to essentially a vet neurologist.
Oh no.
So, we're trying to figure that out. Crystal thinks that she had another seizure the other day, but she didn't see it. She just saw Ahsoka walking around, and she was wet and smelled like urine.
Oh no.
So thinking she had a seizure and like peed herself while she did it or something like that. So yeah, that's been pretty stressful overall. And I'm really afraid for my cat, and I want her to be
Yeah.
okay. So, other than that, like, work is really busy, but good kind of busy, like a really good kind of busy. So home front is stressed because of the animal. Work front is actually doing very well.
Sure.
We actually are, my team's working on a new application, and we are launching in hopefully October, like first thing October, deploying in September, launching pilot in October. So it's a pretty exciting time right now. My team's been killing it. I ended up giving them half the day off the other day because everybody finished early. So
Nice.
it was one of those things. I just got the opportunity to do it. I said, everybody go home early. And then I basically told them 2:00. And then my boss comes and she goes, "Oh, just let him go at noon." And she's like, "I'm hungry. Let's go to lunch right now." And I'm like, "Cool.
Okay.
All right, we're leaving now. So we'll do that." So we did, like, Tuesday, we did lunch and happy hour. And then we did our normal Thursday happy hour today. So, yeah, things at work are going pretty good.
So many happy hours.
Yes.
Wow.
Well, we usually do happy hour on Thursday, and Tuesday was just something special for them. So, Our director's
Little
coming
treat.
next week.
Ooh, shit.
So that'll be interesting, and he's going to get a deep dive on the new app that we're building. So it's pretty exciting, and it's a new director. So I've only been working with him for a couple months, but he seems super down to earth. Like my last one-on-one, we spent like the last like 10 minutes talking about Diablo 4. I'm like, perfect.
Nice.
This is my boss's boss, and we're talking Diablo 4. This is perfect.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for me. And then lots of one game. So let's move on. And let's do some distractions. And I know what Jason and I are going to talk about, so I'm
Yeah.
going to pass to Travis first.
I
Travis, what do you got?
Yeah, so it's just one thing. It's not going to be a shocker. But luckily, I think this is probably the last time the game gets brought up. But the only thing I've really been messing with was Final Fantasy 16, putting the finishing touches and putting a bow on that bitch.
Did you get the platinum?
I didn't get the platinum. I
Uh-oh.
decided today that I'm not going to go for the platinum.
Oh, really? Okay.
One main reason, I don't really care. So I
That's fair. Okay.
I mainly wanted to get, as in all Final Fantasies, get like the ultimate weapon and finish the game. Since this has a new game plus, finish the game on new game plus on the Final Fantasy difficulty. So I did that. Got the ultimate weapon, finished up all the side quests, all the hunts. So all that's left is there's no final dungeon. You just take on the final boss. So at this point, it's just doing that. So I won't even talk about that. I'm just assume that it's been done. But yeah, I got the ultimate weapon. So pretty much like the game's easy mode. Like you still have to try, but you don't really have to go through as many rotations on fighting bosses. It still makes combat super fun. I can't for anybody who has not yet jumped into Final Fantasy 16 yet, just do it. That combat is just undeniable to me. Like
It's super fun, yeah.
I can't like I don't need to play the game anymore. I'm, for all intents and purposes, done with it. But I'm dying for DLC. I want more fresh combat, new
Mhm.
combat, new enemies, a little bit more story. I want more of that.
Hmm.
I
So
think personally, like, and and granted, I haven't played it in a few weeks, but I have been super critical of Final Fantasy since 10, and this is the first one where I've really been like all in. I love it. Let's do this.
mhm.
And if it wasn't for like Baldur's Gate coming out and stopping and wanting to basically beeline it through the Diablo story to
Mhm.
uh before Baldur's Gate came out, I'd be playing it right now. Baldur's Gate has just kind of distracted me a little bit, and it's really scratching a D&D itch for me. So I just haven't gotten back to Final Fantasy, but I know I will because I
Mm.
enjoyed it so much. But yeah, I've been if you ever loved Final Fantasy at all, kind of owe it to yourself to give this a shot.
Yeah, yeah. You won't believe how I don't know. It's just a great game, man. So
It
but
feels great.
that's
That's
yeah.
that's what you're going. It feels
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, it just feels good. So that really is it. Just it's the calm before the storm. Like we're about to get smoked
A
with
shit ton of stuff.
games.
Yeah.
We're about to get smoked,
I'm already
and
feeling it, yeah.
yeah, I bet. I'm so envious of you guys because like what I wouldn't give for like a month's head start on Baldur's Gate. Like that would be the perfect amount of time for me to at least get a massive chunk of the game done. So if another game comes that takes precedent, like the fact that like this is going to come out and like a couple of weeks later is going to be Spider-Man is just killing me. And that's not
Oh
counting
yeah,
Starfield.
Spider-Man.
That's not counting the Mario game I want to get. That's not counting a bunch of games that got moved out of the way of middle October to like so, which we may talk about more a little bit later on in news. But yeah, so I'm so envious of you guys getting that head start, and it's been a while since I've had like massive FOMO for a game solely because of the PC requirement. I think the last game was Witcher 2, where
Mhm.
like I could not play it on console. It's only available on PC, and
Oh,
everybody's
yeah.
like talking about it. Like that was one of those one things. And I remember like actually, Jason, we did an indie stream at your house with Witcher 2, and that was the first time me seeing at that point in time. It was the first time me seeing like an up to date PC game, super
Damn.
impressive. Like I was just like super jealous, and that game came out like it was like 8 to 12 months later on console. So it was a hard wait. So it's been a while since I've had that FOMO, but it is so hard to watch everybody play it, enjoy it, and talk about how great it is. So, but guys, tell me how great it is. Let's do it.
Actually, it sucks.
It's awful.
It's
I bet. Yeah.
you really
Yeah.
don't. You're not missing anything. All the characters are terrible.
I heard. Yeah, I
Yeah.
heard they're pretty bad.
No, as an anecdote, Chris and I were playing a little bit yesterday, and I was telling him how there's a goblin keep in the game. This is very early game.
Pretty
stage.
early. It's not much of a spoiler or anything.
But yeah, you go and you infiltrate this goblin keep or whatever, and they have down in the dungeon these 2 giant spiders, right? I found myself down in the dungeon and found myself befriending these spiders.
Okay.
And I let them loose, and I didn't really think too much of it because they just seemed thankful. They're like, great, we're out of this place. Every once in a while, I would hear a scream, a goblin scream.
Oh no.
Come to find out that these spiders were just kind of like walking through the keep and like killing goblins as they
That's
just
awesome.
came across them. Yeah, it was just a neat little anecdote that I wanted to
Mhm.
bring
Yeah.
out. Just some of the emergent gameplay that can come from that game. It's pretty nuts. I like it an awful lot.
Yeah.
It's really.
You're saying it with like a big smile on your
Yeah.
face too. Like I'm serious. Like it's been like it's not often. Like we talk about games when we have fun with it. We love the hobby, but like
Yeah.
you're sitting there and you just said like I love it, and you had
Mhm.
like the biggest smile on your face. Like and it's just like man, it's got to
It's
be
good.
good.
It's good.
It's got to be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I said last week. Like the last time I was this like distracted with a game,
Mhm.
and I use that term purposely. I am very distracted with this game. I'm always looking for new information about builds and things like that, and it's like it was Elden Ring, and that's
That's
a
saying
pretty
something.
huge, yeah, it's a pretty huge compliment. So, but I've put. I think I'm at like almost 30 hours now. I'm still in Act 1. I'm still only level 4. There's so much to do. I've done a ton of side quests. I keep exploring the world. There's always something new around the corner. I got Jason and I got to play some multiplayer yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
We both started a new game. And I got to I rolled a little forest gnome fighter chick, and she runs around with a fucking sword that's bigger than she is,
Oh my
and
God,
it's
Of course.
great.
She's
It's
adorable.
amazing.
She's so cute. She's got freckles and
And
stuff. Oh, jeez.
and she kicks everybody's ass, and she's like this big. It's great. And like when she gets into dialogue with some of the other characters, like the dialogue, the camera is at her head level. So you see her looking up and the other characters looking down. And I don't know why that is so entertaining to me,
Mhm.
but it really shows that they put a little bit more of that attention to detail in how the dialogue works. But just like, successfully rolling intimidation for a little gnome chick is hilarious. I love it. It's
Yeah.
That's
great.
awesome.
I think my favorite part was that we came across some brigands, and she didn't even have to roll the intimidation. She just was just like, "Get out of here, guys!" And they're like, "Okay, all right." And they were gone.
It was so once in a while when you're playing and you're in a dialogue situation, it'll give you dialogue options that are based on skills and things like that. But sometimes you'll get one on race, sometimes you'll get one on class. So for that particular conversation, I had a dialogue choice that was based on class, which was fighter, and she basically just says, "Do you really want to mess with me? I will wipe the floor with you," or something like that. And the dude who was trying to intimidate you was like, "No, forget it. I'm not messing with her." And they
Yeah.
all left because of this little gnome chick. It was hilarious.
So
But yeah, it's great.
on the co-op front, so how does it work? So say we've all been playing for about 20 hours. We're at the same level, and we go and say, okay, let's do a co-op session. Can you bring in your pre-existing characters into that game, or if everyone wants to start a campaign together, do you have to start over and create a level 1 character from scratch?
That I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah.
We did it from scratch.
Mhm.
So I don't know. It seems to have drop in, drop out.
Right.
But I don't know exactly how that's handled.
I hear there are side effects
Okay.
to it. Like if you drop into someone's game and they already have a full party, and I don't know if this is accurate. I'd have to go look it up and get back to you guys. But from what I originally understood, if you drop into a game that with someone who already has a full party, like the party member that gets removed from the party is now gone
What do you mean
from the
gone?
game, like dead. And,
Oh,
and
wow.
again, I don't I need to verify that, so
That
don't
doesn't
take
sound
that at
right.
face value. But it feels like, but I feel like that's one of the reasons drop in drop out hasn't been very popular. Everybody I know who's done multiplayer
Mhm.
has done it from the start. And
That
it
seems
was
to be the
it's
way to do it. Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah, and and it's one of those things where it's just you kind of treat it like it's a D&D campaign. Just
Mhm.
get a group together, say this is the date we're going to meet. We'll do it like once a week. We play for like 2 or 3 hours, and you just go through it that way. You know, I think there's a lot to be said about playing this game that way, because it does it, like when you're playing it, it feels like D&D. It does to me. It's just it moves a little quicker, and there's just slightly less options. You
Mhm.
know, but a lot of times, a lot of the things that they allow you to do are things that you can do in D&D, and granted, in D&D you get to be a lot more creative and it's a lot more open, and the GM gets to work with you on making decisions, things like that. But for most intents and purposes, it's very very much D&D, and it
It's
scratches that
D&D
itch.
without all that pesky role playing.
Mhm.
The role playing is a list of choices for you, and
Yep.
that's pretty much it. So
Yeah, that's fine by me. That's as deep as I want to put my toes in, I guess.
I,
yeah.
I agree. I think I'm in the same boat there. Another quick question, and this is something that Jason brought up um, on his like first early impressions a couple of episodes ago, but he had brought up the concept of the karmic dice
Hmm.
option that's on. I think it's on by default, right?
It is, yes.
So, and for people who are not sure what karmic dice are, it's basically a passive system that protects you from being like super successful with high quality rolls, but also on the flip side, it makes your rolls it helps you avoid consistent like critical failures and stuff. So, but I've heard that actually makes keeping with that being on by default, which is shocking to me. I feel I've been seeing online that people are complaining that they're having survivability issues with their characters.
Hmm.
And when they turn the karmic dice off and everything is a organic roll every single time, yeah, you're going to get a lot more misses, but people found that their characters and their party members were staying alive a lot, a lot longer and everything.
So,
So, what have you
um,
guys done with
kind
karmic
of,
dice?
I haven't turned it off. I've left it on, but karmic dice also work for the enemies. So that's important to understand.
Correct. Correct. Yes.
So, you don't go on these long miss streaks, but neither do they.
Yeah.
And more often than not, there's more of them than there are of you. So that's
Hmm.
important to understand.
Yep.
So in a lot of battles, as you get deeper into the game, you're outnumbered. It's 4 against a shit ton. So it's like you got to figure out how to strategically go through the battle without getting your ass handed to you.
Hmm.
So in situations when there's like one of the battles that in near the beginning of the game that Jason and I are in, that or went through, you start out, you kind of surprise one dude and you beat him up, right? And then you go through another door and there's another surprised person, and they go and get their friends, and it turns out to be 5 of them at that point. Another way to get into that room is you can actually drop through the ceiling and it will straight up be 6-on-4.
Mm.
So you can be outnumbered very early in the game. And the karmic dice work for them too.
Hmm.
So if it's trying to stop them from having, miss streaks, they're going to beat you up a little bit. So
Hmm.
I haven't turned them off yet, but I could see that being a thing, especially in situations where you're fighting large groups.
Yeah, I think I'm going to turn it off probably immediately.
Yeah, you just got to understand that when you turn it off, like randomness is really random. So you could go like, 5-10 misses in a row. It can be frustrating. But
Yeah, I haven't turned them off yet.
oh, you did turn it off?
No, I have not. No.
Oh yeah.
Like
Okay.
I haven't had a situation where it's been like, oh, I got screwed by the karmic dice. I haven't felt that.
Does the game let you
Yeah.
know that the karmic dice have taken effect?
No.
Okay, so it's
No.
completely passive. Okay.
It's all it's all behind the scenes.
Mhm.
I will say this, like I know for a fact, like when you roll a 1 or a 20, and even with karmic dice on, I've rolled a shit ton more ones than I have 20s.
And they give you enough like inspirations, which are like dice rerolls, to make it to where it's like, yeah, it's negligible. So even if I do roll a critical miss or something like that, like I can re-roll it if I really want to. But
only
again,
on skill checks, or conversations.
True.
They don't allow you. So unlike D&D, they don't allow you to use your inspiration on attack rolls.
Mhm.
So an attack roll is an attack roll, and that's pretty much it.
Yep.
Jason, how are you? I asked Chris this last week. So for me, like this, probably the main thing that I'm most excited about is the fact that this is going to bring me back to it's going to help scratch that itch or fill that void that Mass Effect left with decision making, choices in your conversations affecting other characters or other story points, branching off in different areas and such. Like it's just the most anticipated part of Baldur's Gate 3 is that for me. And of course, I'm gonna play a human bard, so like gonna be super high charisma and really pushing for like trying to talk myself out of as many situations as possible. So that being said, how are you feeling with dialogue, interactions with other NPCs, and do you feel like the choices that you have because I think they give you like, Mass Effect gives you 3, but this gives you 5 or 6, it looks like from screenshots.
It depends on the case.
Yeah, certainly not all the time. And there's
Right.
a lot of situations where I wish there was or were more dialogue options.
Okay.
So
But how are you on the dialogue though? How you
kind
feel?
of it's kind of random. Like I said, I feel it lacking in some instances. I had something happen just today that it's like I don't like where this is going at all, and it just wasn't giving me the option to like back out of the how things were going. So it ended up in a fight that I didn't want to happen.
That happened to us last night too.
Yeah.
So
I think they're pushing more towards the physic. No, I don't want to say that either, because oftentimes there's a shit ton of options that you can do investigation or persuasion or intimidation or various things to get your point across, or to dig deeper into the conversation, or just to have things go the way that you want them to. So it goes back and forth. I guess it's I can't say that I've really been missing it. Or the dialogue options, but there's a ton in most circumstances.
How do you feel about the quality of like the conversations with NPCs? Because obviously the party members are going to have like the king's ransom of all the dialogue.
Yep.
But how do like the random NPCs that you see scattered across the areas of the world that you've walked across so far, like how is it?
More lines than I anticipated.
Really? Okay,
yep.
good.
Yeah, and they'll have a couple lines and they'll just kind of shut down conversation. But that's fine. They're in a situation where they can't talk right now, or they're busy being a slave or something. God forbid. So yeah, you'll get a couple lines out of them, but it's voiced, and it's fine. It's good. It's immersive. They do.
Yeah, the acting's pretty damn good. There's a lot of variety there.
Yeah.
A lot of variety in the conversations in general. A variety in the attitudes of the characters as well. I like from after last night. Jason, I discovered that Jason didn't get Lazelle, who is the
Yeah, I completely
one of the
understand.
primary female characters that's on the cover. She's the Githyanki fighter. And you know, she's a bitch. She's straight up a bitch. And like she is very straightforward, blunt, and she's gonna tell you if you're fucking things up. And she has a pretty big ego. She knows how good she is at doing what she does, which is she's a fighter. She kills stuff real dead, and she does a good job making them real dead. So
Boys, I know what you're thinking. You can't fix her though. She's not
no, you
fixable.
can't fix this one.
Shadowheart, on the other hand.
Yeah, Shadowheart. Yeah,
I
we
can
can
fix
try and
Shadow-
fix her.
I can
Gentlemen,
fix Shadowheart.
Shadowheart may be my boo.
Yeah,
She may be the next Ashley,
she.
but we'll see. We'll
well,
see.
well,
Shadowheart is the most romanced character from.
Oh, really?
what-
Oh,
yeah.
that's
Yeah,
right. That's
from
right. That's from the
Marion.
stats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know, funny enough, like after that conversation, I actually ran into to the point where I could either go down a romance path with Lazelle, the Githyanki, or I could go down the one with Shadowheart. I was planning on going Shadowheart anyway, and I was like, well, let me see what happens with Lazelle. And yeah, she's just as much of a bitch in bed too. So it was she's gentlemen, if you're looking for the femdom option, there you go. That's where you're going. But you know, just overall the like so many different types of conversations, so many ways to get out of combat. Like you could get through a lot of this game without getting into fights.
Yeah,
you know,
it's
they give
totally
you a lot
viable.
of options. Especially if you're going bard, especially you know, if you're going a charismatic route. The way you can use persuasion, deception, and what's the other one? Intimidation.
Mhm.
Those all three of those are using charisma. So the use, you know, the way you can use those to get through things, it's rather incredible how they've put it all together.
Good stuff. So Jason, I'm gonna
Yo.
cause some beef between you two.
Uh-oh.
So Chris says that you don't know shit
Mm.
because of
Did I?
a specific party member that you didn't gel with.
Uh-oh.
What?
Chris, you basically, who's the NPC's name or the party member's name? The undead guy who can like
Withers.
respec you. Withers.
Yeah.
So apparently you said, Chris, that Withers is an amazing character, a lot of functionality. And
He's
then
a
you, and I
he's a-
quote you, Jason A. Striker don't know shit is what you said.
that is not what I said. That is not a quote. No, Jason explained a lot of what Withers can do, but
Right.
That
if
was
I
before
remember
I
correctly,
knew what he
before he
actually does.
knew
Right.
completely what Withers does.
Mhm.
And like the biggest thing that Withers does, and he lets you respec, and
Yeah.
that's like the biggest thing,
Mhm.
because you get to go and play around however you want. You know, it's like you can, if you start as a fighter and say, you know what, fighter's not doing it for me, I want to play warlock.
Mhm.
You can do that. I told you last week that I was doing like a paladin warlock multi-class. So right now I'm still level 4. I got 2 levels of paladin, I got 2 levels of warlock, and that's working for me right now. But the problem is at level 5, paladins get an extra attack.
just
So
got
I'm
the
going to go
second
back and
attack last
respec
night.
just so I can get my extra attack. I'm going to respec into all paladin, and then after I have 5 levels of paladin, I'm going to spec back into warlock to get my warlock slots back. So Withers gives you a lot of flexibility on how you want to play the game and
Mhm.
what character you want to create.
And it's pretty cheap too. So it was like
It's 100 gold, which is relatively easy to get if you're a few hours in.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think like my primary run right now, I've got close to 4,000 or 5,000 plus gold. And I haven't even sold all the crap that I've got in my camp right now. So I think that's one of the things that's missing is like I feel like you need some sort of trader at your camp, because you can send all this shit back to your camp to manage your inventory, but then you got to get it out and find a trader so you can actually get rid of it.
Oh,
So
I feel like at some point in the game there's a they can't have a hub space without like someone to like sell stuff to. I feel.
Crystal's way farther than me, and I asked her, and she's like, "Nope."
No
Crystal's in Act
shopkeeper.
3 right now. She's like a fourth of the way through Act 3, and yeah, she told me she hasn't seen that yet. So I don't know, but yeah, the characters are all very interesting, and they all get their centralized story pieces. So right now, in Act 1, you get a lot with Lae'zel if you pick her up. Act 2 apparently has a lot about Shadowheart. And like Act 3 has a lot about shoot, what is his name? The vampire, the rogue,
Azariel or something.
Azariel, yeah, something like that. But yeah,
Azarius.
so they're like, and that's kind of why I say it feels very D&D, because if you have a good GM in D&D, then your character's background is going to get integrated into the story that the GM is trying to tell. And they're going to they're going to create new storylines and new hooks to make it more interesting based on your character's background. And they're doing that in this game. Like, all the NPCs have these hooks and these things where you can go out and kind of explore who they are. Like, Crystal has gone through a lot of the vampire storyline, and she said, like, she's telling me that at first she wanted nothing to do with the guy, and like his shit is tragic. Like, he is just like, yeah, just go through his story if you have the opportunity, because like his shit is tragic. It really is. But yeah, it's it's been a while. I don't think I've ever seen any storytelling like this in a game, even with Mass Effect.
That's a bold statement
You
there,
can
son.
completely miss
I missed
a ton of shit.
I missed the Githyanki girl. And Chris is saying that,
which is crazy.
Like I had no idea where she was. I'm like, maybe she'll pop up later in the game or something like that.
Yeah.
Nope, she's just there right at the beginning, and I completely walked by her and have not missed her. That's the thing, is like I'm still getting a ton of storyline. Even
there is a point where you are supposed to interact with like a Githyanki guard, like a group.
Okay.
So you may get to the point where you run into that, and she's maybe with them. I don't know, because one of the things that I found out, because like early on I was watching some videos, and they were talking about how you run into Shadowheart after the main opening sequence, and she's trying to get in this door, that's a little like and she's like trying to get through a door and pick a lock, and I'm like, that's not what happened to me. She was just laying on the ground. And come to find out, if you save her, she's laying on the ground. If you don't save her, she ends up at the end, like trying to get in that first door that you're trying to get through.
Gotcha.
To get into the cathedral. So they do things like that, where if you miss characters, you might pick them up somewhere else. So hopefully that's what happens with you, because she may be a bitch, but man, she hits hard, And fighters at once they get to level 11, they get 3 attacks, and that's where you start hitting really, really hard. So
it's crazy to think that there is a possibility that Jason can go through the entirety of the game and not see a main character that's like on the box art.
On the box art. Yep.
So I agree with Chris. I think there is a moment in the game where like she will cross your path again and you can recruit her then. I see that as being
the most sense,
yeah. But
I think that makes sense, yeah.
If I love the idea of the fact there's a main character that you could just not miss recruiting. Like, did you see her at all? Like, you just didn't.
Nope.
Well, you see her in the opening sequence, right? She's there in the opening sequence.
His character didn't come across her.
Well, that's what I mean. His character comes across her in the opening sequence, but once that opening sequence is complete,
once the ship crashes,
once the ship crashes, you're all separated. So it's about trying to find people that could help you with your quest. And at that point, you could very much completely miss where Lae'zel is. And I just gave you one thought where I think she could be. you could completely miss that too. So you could very well never see her. Like, I have no idea.
Yeah,
I'm actually very interested to hear what happens.
I know.
with
Like
you
I thought
moving
about
forward.
I thought about going back to get her. Because
Yeah.
it would be easy because it was just barely off the beaten path.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
But I think I'm gonna like just let her be. One, she's a bitch. Two,
She is a bitch.
I kind of want to see how this shakes out. How this
I
actually works.
agree. And do you have the barbarian already? The tiefling barbarian?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're good. You don't necessarily need that fighter, because you're already a paladin, so you're already hitting hard.
Yep.
And then so you got your paladin, you got your cleric, you've got your barbarian, and then who's the other character that you're running with?
No, I got a rogue and a mage.
Oh, rogue and a mage. Okay, but you could get the barbarian if you wanted to.
Yep. Yeah, I
Okay.
could bring her in at any point. She seems awesome.
She is, and she's hilarious. She's absolutely hilarious. Did you track down the people that she was she
No.
had her confrontation with?
No.
You should absolutely do that. Get her in your party and go track them down, because it is hilarious.
Okay, maybe. But she wasn't in my group at the time.
Okay.
I think I came across them. Yeah. Yeah, because I got something from them that I really wanted. I killed them. It was worth it. They weren't really paladins. Don't worry about it. They're fine. Everybody's fine. I think Chris froze up, by the way. So we're gonna stall for time.
Okay.
Any other questions,
So-
Trav?
So yeah, sure. Like, so do you, now that you're double digit hours into it, easy?
Yeah, I'm like 20 hours into it.
So do you think that you're gonna finish?
Hey, I'm
it?
back.
Hey, welcome back.
You will.
I don't even know you were gone. It's fine.
I know. I'm sure you didn't.
I did. I missed you.
So do you think that you're gonna finish it? I mean, we're talking 100+ hours on this joint. So
There's a very good chance.
That's a very good question.
Yeah.
I don't know if I will or not, but I'm
Really?
gonna have fun playing it while I am.
Yep.
I'm gonna have fun playing it.
It's been the only thing that's like really occupied my thought process for the past few weeks, for sure. And I don't get the normal like anxiety of or guilt, that I've been having as of late when I'm playing this
no,
game.
I get it. Yeah.
So yeah, there's a good chance, but we are talking, more than 100 hours. So we'll see, but I put, a considerable amount into Final Fantasy, which I normally don't do. So yeah, we'll see. But I would really like to see this through and see where this ends up, for sure.
I'm more excited. I mean, obviously, I'm excited to play the game and get through it, but I'm more excited about the thought of 3 months from now, us getting together and discussing our experience, what we
Sure.
saw, what we didn't see.
Right.
This
And
could be a very lengthy spoiler episode. Like,
Yeah.
if we were to actually do one of those again.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's so much.
Yeah, because we start off as like, okay, and we start here, and it's like, no, I didn't start there.
I didn't start.
No.
Who's that? I didn't get that person. No,
I
I
didn't-
didn't talk to them.
She wasn't on the beach. What are you talking about?
The what? The who? Hag? What? No, but Jason, before my internet hiccuped,
Mhm.
we were talking about the barbarian. I can't remember her name, and like the quest that she goes out for. If you bring her on that quest,
Yep.
like after you finish, she like if you well, I think if she's already raged, she just starts going around that house and just destroying everything
No
in the
way.
fucking house,
Oh,
man.
cool.
It's hilarious. And then she finishes and she's like, whew, I feel better.
Nice.
It's great.
She seems
It's good stuff,
alright.
man. Yeah. She's fun. But the multiplayer was it was fun.
Mhm.
It was a little weird because they don't allow you to shuffle who's with who. So like so we tried it twice, right?
As far as we can tell, anyway. Yeah.
As far as we can tell. We tried it twice, and we'll talk about why we tried it twice later. But when we were going through it the second time, there was a point where Jason had control of the 2 NPCs that were in our party. And we were trying to move one of the NPCs to group up with me, so I would have control over one of them and he would have control over one of them. And we couldn't figure out how to do that. After we landed on the beach, I went up to one of the characters and interacted with them first, which was Shadowheart. She's the first person you kind of run into. And when I did, she joined my group.
And I was insanely jealous.
And then the next person that we found, I was like, all right, well, Jason, why don't you go talk to them so that and maybe they'll end up in your group. And that's what ended up happening. So for some, we just kind of realized that if whoever initiates the dialogue, they end up kind of joining that like sub party. So it is just an unusual thing that we ran into.
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, it was very functional. If the party members, if you have party members in the same, like in a row in initiative, so like if Jason and I are, if Jason's up, if it's Jason's turn and I'm next, like he and I can both move at the same time and take our actions at the same time. So that worked really well, and that goes the same for the NPCs that we're controlling. So I thought that was interesting. But overall, it was I thought it was a pretty good experience.
Yeah,
it's got some, they have some kinks they need to work out, but I could definitely see myself, like, you know, I could see like, I know Jeff's not going to get it, but like the 4 of us playing on like a weekly basis for like 2-3 hours, that would be fun. It would be a lot of fun.
I definitely think he's going to buy it. Actually,
I think he's going to get it too.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, he bought
Jeff can't
Divinity
be.
too.
He can't be the only person not playing a game. Like, he will not allow that. Yeah.
Not only that, he does genuinely seem like interested in it, because he bought Divinity 2 and has been playing that and doesn't
really.
He doesn't really want to put it down either.
Really?
He's going to burn himself out, I think.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I was just like, man, wow, like 100-hour game, like strategy-based RPG, and then jumping directly into another one in the midst of a huge, like cavalcade of games. Like, ooh, that's
I have never played the Divinity games, but this is making me kind of want to go back and check them out. Not now, obviously, but
there's a reason why Larian is working on this IP.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's definitely apparently very much in their wheelhouse. So there was also a humble bundle for all the previous Baldur's Gate games.
Yeah.
And I picked that up too.
Good.
So I don't know if I'll ever play them, but I paid $15 and got all of them. So I'm good.
Yeah, I didn't
Neverwinter Nights. Hell yeah. Yeah.
I didn't play Divinity Original Sin 1 or 2, but I did play Pillars of Eternity 1 and 2.
Okay, yeah.
And those were really, really strong games. I like the first one a little bit better, but I played all the way through that.
Really? Wow, dude. You're going to love Baldur's Gate, then. You are going to love Baldur's Gate.
I'm excited, man. I'm excited. Like, watching all these assholes play it on TikTok is driving me insane.
Yeah, I am probably going to be double dipping. I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to what I'm going to do there for it.
I wonder what I'm going to do.
You guys hold off on the double dip. This is my opinion. Hold off on the double dipping. Because like, I'm going to want to play this game solo the majority of the time. Like, it'll be difficult for me to want to really focus at the same, like, in parallel, focusing on my solo experience and doing like, and immediately jumping into like a group play. So like, group play is going to take some time for me to like want to jump into, because the majority of my time will be on solo time.
Yeah, but it's not just this group that I'm going to be playing with.
That's fair.
There's some other people that are picking it up on PS5 as well. So we'll see what happens.
Chris and all his friends.
Yeah, jeez.
I got to put a limit on how many of these campaigns I'm going to run, though.
Seriously.
Have you played any live action D&D since Baldur's Gate came out, Chris?
Let me think. We played since Baldur's Gate came out.
Because I feel like everybody in your group would be playing the game. So like, they
actually no. Like, one of my tabletop groups is not playing it, and I was pretty surprised at that.
That does not surprise me.
Yeah, it does to me, because it's kind of right up their alley. But I don't think I have, actually, now that I think about it. because it came out, we went to Gen Con. We actually had a session that was supposed to happen that weekend, so we canceled that session. And then we had a session that was supposed to happen the next weekend, and it got postponed. So yeah, we haven't played. So, but not because we don't want to. It's just because we life gets in the way sometimes. But Crystal is actually running a campaign for the kids and I just on Sundays, and
fun.
we actually didn't do that either because she was recovering from being sick. So, but yeah, just
While she was in the bedroom, door locked, Baldur's Gate.
I'm not going to say that wasn't happening, but you know.
Yeah. And any other final thoughts?
Yeah, I guess I'm torn with the multiplayer stuff. Like I can definitely see where Travis is coming from, and
Yeah.
wanting that to be a solo experience, and that's the most optimal way of playing. The multiplayer does kind of slow things down a little bit, especially with like just situations where Chris is talking to an NPC, a shopkeeper or something like that, a trader, and I can't
Yeah, that's
interact with
true.
them at all. So there's things like that kind of put a I don't know, not a downer really, but
Now,
it just
can
slows things down.
Can Chris like switch to you so you can take control of the
If
conversation
I
at some point? or-
remove myself from the conversation, so there's two different things here. So the first thing is when you're interacting with a merchant.
Uh-huh.
If you're interacting with a merchant and actively making a transaction, then another player cannot interact with that merchant.
You can talk to them, but you don't get the options to trade with them.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
When
weird.
when someone initiates conversation, you can actually if you're not near that person for that conversation, you're not involved in it at all.
Oh, wow.
Like you're just
Yeah,
still
it's
walking around doing whatever you want.
kind of interesting. Yeah.
And it's really well done how they do it. Like you
Yeah.
actually have to walk up to the people that are in their conversation, and then it lights up and says listen. So and then you push the button and it actually shows you the dialogue that's happening. And
Oh.
you don't get to actually choose any of the dialogue, but I didn't know this until Jason tried it. Jason actually clicked on it while I was in a conversation, and you could basically vote for which entry of the conversation you want to
That's cool.
mention. So it's interesting how they handle that. And while while someone's in a conversation, if you're listening, you can just walk away. You can bail out of the conversation and just leave and go do whatever it is you want to do. So props to them for that, because that's really impressive.
It's really,
to me.
really
They're able to
interesting.
do that.
Yeah.
I'm continually finding new things that is like, wow, they really paid attention to this, or they put a lot of work into this.
There's it's a lot of thought into how all this stuff works together, and I think that's what's most impressive, because there's little things that you don't even realize are important until you see them, and then it's like a realization that it's like, wow, I wonder why we haven't thought of that before. It's one of those things.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Good stuff. All right, if we're all set, we can move on to news.
Yeah.
New.
What do we got for the news?
All right. So
I put a couple of
gentlemen,
things in there.
Yeah, we're gonna start off with a couple of delays. Ooh. All right, so a couple of games were delayed. So the first one announced on Twitter by the Alan Wake team. Alan Wake 2 delayed. An update from Alan Wake 2 team. We're moving Alan Wake 2's launch from October 17th just to October 27th.
Okay.
October is an amazing month for game launches, and we hope this date shift gives more space for everyone to enjoy their favorite games. And alongside that, also, Ubisoft announced that Assassin's Creed Mirage is also going to be coming out a week early. The game originally was supposed to come out on October 12th, 5 days before the original Alan Wake's release, but they moved it up ahead to October 5th. So Assassin's Creed moved up to the 5th, back to October 27th for Alan Wake 2, and it's clearly because dead in the center of October we have a new Mario,
Mhm.
and Spider-Man
and
2.
Spider-Man. So like, you know what? These are probably smart decisions.
This
No,
was very
Um,
strategically
No,
planned.
this was complete coincidence. I don't know what you guys
Yeah.
are
Yes.
talking about.
No, I think for 2 games, Assassin's Creed Mirage is probably going to be somewhere around like a 30-hour game. Alan Wake 2 is probably going to be a 15 to 20-hour game. In a sea of games where like 100 hours is going to be the minimum. When you look at
Yeah.
Starfield, when you look at Baldur's Gate coming out a month after for consoles. I think this is a good move. I think they're still going to be inundated with a lot of games around them.
Sure.
But yeah, to move away from Spider-Man is probably the smartest
Yeah. Because where
decision.
they're at, it's like Alan Wake 2. I could buy Alan Wake 2, or I could wait 3 days and get Spider-Man and or Super Mario Brothers Wonder.
Mm-hmm.
Alan Wake, yeah. I mean, that might have been a good decision.
Yeah, I agree. Especially like I said, for a game that's going to be like 15 hours long, like you don't want someone to say, "Well, I'll get it later." They want to sell that game immediately. So, yeah, good moves all across the board. Now, when we're talking about good moves, there are some people that will think that this is not a good move, but I say why not? Microsoft's Xbox 360 store to close in July 2024.
Oh, boy.
Microsoft is preparing to close down its Xbox 360 store and the Xbox 360 marketplace on July 29th, 2024. So next year. Xbox 360 owners will no longer be able to purchase new Xbox 360 games, DLC, or any other content from the Xbox 360 store next July. And the Xbox marketplace, the 360 marketplace that includes avatars and games, will also be closed to new purchases. Now, if you already own a bunch of Xbox 360 digital games, they'll continue to be playable. You just won't be able to purchase new games or DLC from the service.
So, like, games will still get patched and things like that, right? That's kind of what
Sure.
it sounds like.
Like you still be able to
Okay.
download. Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just no new purchases.
That's one of my biggest fears, like, as someone who doesn't really get rid of stuff, with like from the PS3 360 generation forward, like considering how things get patched along the way, like what is that? What happens when those services go away?
So I think
So
you need
that's a
to.
concern for me.
I think you need to worry about this situation for consoles that are 10 years old, right? Like a lot of these are being digitized and through backwards compatibility can be purchased on modern day consoles. Now, I know that there is a long laundry list of games that are not backwards compatible currently that people do own that can only play if they keep their Xbox 360 powered up. And I know a lot of people don't want to do that. They would much prefer a situation where they can just play it on their current gen console. So
Sure.
I don't have a problem with this because look, it's the 360. Like it's got to go. At some point, you cannot keep it alive at some point. And this is at a point in this specific generation where like we really didn't know where we were going, digital, physical, like it was still kind of in the air. We knew digital was a big thing that was happening, but we just didn't see it. Now when PS4 and now this generation comes along, like digital is humongous now. I don't think that we'll be having as much of these issues with games that we're currently playing now that we want to hold on to versus games from over a decade ago that were kind of in this physical digital flux.
So here's what I'll say about that. Like I do agree it's less of an issue with I'll say this. I feel like it's less of an issue for the last 2 generation of consoles because those were built on very similar architecture. And
Correct.
it seems like that's going to be a continuing thing. So
Correct.
PlayStation 6 is going to still be on 8086 hardware. So most of that stuff should still be backwards compatible. So I think that's fine. The 360 and the PS3 were not that. So a lot of those games, if they haven't already been translated to 8086 hardware or changed had those changes to make it run on that, some of those games may never be playable if you don't have, like, if for instance, what's an example of a game on PS3? Heavenly Sword. You guys remember that one?
Yeah.
So Heavenly Sword, I don't think that's out on anything else, right? It's only on PS3.
Just PS3. Yeah.
Right. So if if I have a brand new PS3 or a PS3 with a wiped hard drive and PSN for the PS3 is no longer available, do I still get to play that game? You see what I'm getting at?
Sure,
I
yeah.
I think the answer to that question is yes, because the game is still on the disc for that generation, right? But any of the patches and stuff are just gone. Like I'm that's what I'm kind of thinking about. It's like, how does that work?
Yeah.
So
I
And
believe
we'll
they keep patches up, just kind of like in perpetuity, right?
Mhm.
I hope so. That's what I'm
Yeah.
hoping. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the hope. I'm pretty sure that's how that works, though. But
Yeah.
fingers crossed. I don't know.
Yep.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
What else we got?
So I want to touch on one thing on this Xbox 360 store closure.
Sure.
I have a little bit of a dog in this race. I have been wanting, because I still have my 360 and everything, but I have been wanting to bring my Rock Band collection back into my life
Sure.
and have like my, I have hundreds of dollars in downloaded songs, and I've been wanting to hook my system back up, jump in there, log on Xbox Live, make sure, like kind of take stock of all my tracks and go through and maybe buy some new ones. Now I'm on the clock. Now I have to do that
Oh shit.
if I really want to make this thing happen. So it's just kind of something that just like popped in my head, like, oh crap, like I really wanted to get back in the Rock Band and
Yeah.
get my collection back, and I don't want to play 4. My collection's not there. So my 360 may turn into my Rock Band machine. Who knows? We'll see. If you want to know, or if you were wanting to know when you can preload Starfield, well, now you get a better idea. So those who own an Xbox Series S or X or a PC with the Xbox app can preload Starfield on August 17th. Players on Steam have to wait much longer, as preloading on that platform occurs on August 30th. If you bought the
Wow.
premium or the
That's a-
Constellation edition, physically or digitally, you'll be able to gain access to Starfield 5 days early on September 1st. Otherwise, September 6th is your date. And on Xbox, the game clocks in at 126 gigs. On PC, the game will take up around 140 gigabytes.
Phew. Whoa.
So I have a question about this. Is that news? Like, I put this on here, so I'm actually asking the question: is that news? Like, why is it?
For a
Does it
preload,
matter
because it
for a
does.
preload?
It does. When we're talking about internet speeds and bandwidth caps and shit like that, people want to know like as soon as they're able to start preloading shit. You've got a 140 gigabyte file that you've got to have come in, and you want to be available for that. You want to make sure that you're downloading as soon as possible. If you have bad internet speed, right? I mean that's my thought.
I guess that
process
makes
there.
sense. Yeah, yeah. Now I guess that makes sense, because when my experience with Baldur's Gate was that we were on the road and I was trying to download it on my Steam Deck,
Sure.
right, so that we could actually create characters and play it while we were away, and that was pretty awful. So yeah, I guess that makes sense. But even with how awful it was, it still only took 1 day. It's like I don't see it as that big of a deal that Steam doesn't get it until August 30th, because you're still going to be able to. Well, the hope is that you're still able to download it before September 1st if you are a premium or a Constellation edition purchaser.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. What do you guys think? Tell us in the comments or send us a message. I'm curious to what people think about like preloading 2 weeks early, and if that's a thing, if that's important.
That seems like a pretty big window, though. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, a lot of talk about massively huge games, internet speeds. Well, I hope you guys get your internet speeds fixed in due time, because Epic Games is bringing crossplay tools for developers to consoles. So Epic Games is expanding its crossplay tools available as a part of Epic Online Services from PC to PlayStation, Xbox, and the Nintendo Switch. The change could mean that developers will be able to more easily bring crossplay multiplayer into their games. The company first introduced crossplay tools in June 2022, but at that time, they only worked to let games support crossplay across the Epic Games Store and Steam. The tools offer a special overlay that offers ubiquitous ways to authenticate players, streamline friend management, and provide game invite and joinability functionality that's designed to be compliant with native platform requirements. This cannot happen fast enough.
Seriously. Yeah. This is good. Yeah, this is a good make good for the industry as a whole. This doesn't just help the Epic Game Store or
Right.
anything like that. So good on them. Thank you, Epic. As somebody who's, moderately invested in that ecosystem,
Mhm.
I'm all for it, because sometimes I'll have a game on Epic and I want to be able to play with Jeff or something like that, and we can't because he's just a console dimwit. Sorry.
I am too, so I laugh
Be
because
nice,
I can.
Jason. Be
Sorry.
nice.
Sorry.
He's our brother, man.
I know. That's why I pick.
That's why you pick. It's fair. I wish I wish there were other companies, one specifically, that would do this.
Yeah, it's going to be nice to have those tools available industry wide as a whole. That's cool. Good for them.
Yep. And it feels good that Epic's doing it, because Epic did it with their graphics engine and shared that with everybody. And now hopefully this can be just as successful as Unreal was. So let's talk about success with patches and hotfixes. Because Larian did not do it. They stumbled on hotfix number 4. Yesterday, Larian Studios released Baldur's Gate 3 hotfix 4, which the studio had to roll back due to save issues plaguing gamers. Today, the studio has released the Baldur's Gate 3 update for August 17th, which redeploys hotfix 4. I'm gonna read the statement real quick, and then I'll let you guys talk about it. I'm not gonna read the whole damn thing. I'm just gonna read the actual quote. So here's a statement released by the studio on what happened yesterday. Quote: players who had downloaded hotfix 4 were unable to continue from their hotfix 4 saves once we had rolled back the patch. While this is not okay, rolling back the patch in order to diagnose the problem and limit those exposed to it was the lesser of two evils. We truly appreciate your patience and understanding while we worked to understand the problem. So what happened, Chris?
So essentially, we ran into this yesterday. When Jason and I jumped on earlier in the afternoon, we quickly ran through, created our characters, and we went through the first fight, and that was pretty much it.
Right.
And then Jason had to go. And when we came back, we couldn't load that save anymore. It wasn't available. So when they rolled back the hotfix, all of the saves, all the saves that happened, if you started the game with hotfix 4 available and saved, that save was no longer available. It was essentially, it would tell you that you were on the wrong version of the game. So that's why last night Jason and I ended up having roll characters again, and we ended up playing it again. So, but luckily we were only literally 5 minutes into the game, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But there, there's people that were out there. They put it 5-10 hours into the game during that time, and come to find out you can't start that up once they roll back the patch. It's kind of frustrating, but the good news is that if you were patient, then those saves now work again, from what I understand. But I don't know that for sure. I haven't actually tried to boot up my save because I didn't go back to my single player game after Jason and I finished up last night. So I haven't checked my single player game, but the big thing about this was the hotfix went through goes through their normal QA cycle, right? And what turned out to happen, and they explained this in their statement, they messed up on the version number, so they went back and changed the version number, and that's it, and then rebuilt the game for release for hotfix 4, and there was a compiler error, which is extremely rare. And they say this in the article, but I will also say this from my experience as a developer and as a manager of developers. Like, compile errors are pretty rare. But apparently they did the rebuild with the new version number. There was a compiler error, and because that build didn't go through their normal QA pipeline when it launched, it caused issues.
Whoops.
And I did run into one of those issues after Jason and I played our initial run. I played a little bit of my single player campaign, and the barbarian that we were talking about, I was in the middle of a fight, and I used more of just a funny coincidence. I used reckless attack, and she came down, hit with the attack, and the game crashed. And I was like, she hit that motherfucker so hard, the game crashed.
It's a feature.
That's right. It's a feature,
It's a
but
feature.
but yeah. So I did end up experiencing one of the crashes, and they were pretty widespread apparently. Like, while Jason and I were playing multiplayer, we didn't run into one, but it didn't take long for me to run into one afterwards.
Yeah, all you PC scrubs can take the brunt of the bugs, and we can get those patches and hot fixes, so us console players can be ready for the game with no problems.
That's how that's going to work.
It's exactly how it's going to happen.
That's exactly how it's going to work.
And then from that point on, I'm going to be like, every game should come out on PC for a month before.
and then you'll roll that back, because it's like, I'm jealous of every game because I want to play them all.
Very cool. Boys,
Yo,
that's news.
Shit. I feel up to date. How about you?
I feel like I know what's happening.
I feel like
I know
I'm
the
in
buzz.
the know.
You know?
I do.
I know.
All
I
right.
know now. Now I know.
Now I know.
Cool. And once again, we didn't really pry too much for the indiscretion that Jeff put out, so we're going to hold on that since he's not with us today.
We
But
can't
I
do it
think
as
that's
good
our
as he does. So
show, gents. Yeah,
Nope.
we can't do it without him. We can't do those questions without him. So, how you guys feeling? Anything before we wrap up and get out of here?
Ready for more Baldur's Gate?
I need a video.
Yeah, me
game
too.
to
What
play.
time is it? 10:30. I got some time. I can put some Baldur Gate in.
I might find something on Game Pass. See if anything tickles me.
There you go. Good stuff. Well, thank you all very much for listening. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, please tell a few friends about us. Please like and subscribe. That helps us out a lot. And check out our link tree right below us right here at interactivedistractions.com. And I think that is a show, gents. So until next time, my name is Chris.
I'm Jason.
I'm your boy, Travis.
Play your games, and we'll talk to you next week.